everybody, it's Colby from PrizeCast, and I am here with another episode of ScreenTime. Today, Chris and I are going to be talking about some really awesome shows. You don't want to miss it. But first, I need to thank our sponsors. We have Remington Hotel and Suites, Music Prize Garage, Elizabeth and Alex Kennedy, City of Ruston, Yoakum Toyota, the Schlosser family, Louisiana Entertainment, Caddo Management, Karen and Cassidy Phillips. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do. If you love PrizeCast and you want to see more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube. We have new episodes coming to you every weekday, Monday through Friday at noon. You won't want to miss it. And with that, let's jump into it. Chris, how you doing?
Pretty good. I'm doing my finger to a camera. No one else is in this room. Hey, everybody.
I think we're doing a lot of crazy things while we're at home alone right now.
Definitely. Is your sanity holding up, Colby?
Not really, but I'm making it.
Yeah, I mean, it was in question to begin with, so...
Pretty much. So I think this is only solidifying what everybody else thought before. So
good luck, buddy. I believe in you.
So last week, after we talked about living with yourself, I recommended a show to you and you recommended a show to me.
So to you, I recommended the Netflix, I guess you would call it a sitcom comedy. I'm Not Okay With This. It would be unfair to call this a superhero TV show, but in the opening monologue of the whole entire series, the main star, which is a teenage, high school-aged girl, says at the end of this show, you'll find out how I became a superhero. I mean, she basically says it. You know, she's like, she is discovering her superhero powers as she's coming of age as a modern teenaged girl. And as you might expect, her modern teenage life is much more important to her than these mysterious powers that she seems to have, gotten out of nowhere. She has lost her father, so she lives at home with her mother and younger brother, and much of the storyline is about discovering sort of mysterious things about her father along the way. There's also some sexuality themes. You know, the girl who's the main star is discovering her sexuality in a way. I won't give any spoiler alerts on there. But if you have teenaged children, you can watch this series and know how your children are behaving when they're not at home, because I think it's just very accurate about how much they talk about sex and drugs and all of the things that they're not supposed to be doing, sort of part of their regular vernacular. Now, that's not to say that this show is promoting that, but it's part of teenage life in this teenager's life.
Whenever Taylor and I watched the show, we started commenting on some of the Hollywood tropes that the show kind of takes on with high school parties and the way and the Letterman jacket, teenagers, the jocks and stuff like that. It definitely does focus on those things in a very Hollywood way, but it also focuses on the characters in a very real way, which I appreciated. So it makes it accessible and keeps it entertaining, but also really sort of goes into Sydney's character, the lead character, goes into her character in a way that's not really common in a lot of shows right now. And I really appreciate that. So while, yes, the teens have high school parties that no one probably ever had when they were in high school, it uses it as sort of a mechanism to understand her character and what she's going through and the real life problems that teens actually go through that just aren't really talked about a lot.
Yeah, kids worry about things that they shouldn't worry about, and the young girl in this show is no different. She's a wonderful actress. She does so well. And the scenes with her and her little boyfriend neighbor, their scenes together are so hilarious.
What's he doing?
Just wait.
Hey.
That kid is so funny. He's like the quirky kid at the high school, right? Think of Ducky in 16 Candles. He's the kid that people kind of pick on because he's a little weird.
The lead actress, Sophia Lillis, people might recognize her from the It movies. She plays Beverly in the It movies. This is sort of a reunion for her with Wyatt Oleff, who plays her friend in this. And they are both fantastic on screen together. I absolutely agree. He is probably one of the best dressed teenagers I've ever seen on TV, by the way. But I was really worried about his character being sort of the reverse manic pixie dream girl character. I thought like she's the lead. He's going to be like the weird quirky guy that comes in and he kind of helps her see a new perspective and change all these things, but they didn't. Like it's like he's his own person with his own problems. It handles these characters very well and doesn't fall into the tropes that I thought they were going to fall into.
Yeah, the superhero powers really aren't at the center of the story. It's really her relationships with her best friend, the boy, her mother. That's really, I think, where the story unfolds. But the super power thing being such a mystery keeps this sort of underlying tension under everything that makes it so fun.
Oh. Sid?
A lot of the same things that you and I went through in high school still exist today, and all of those themes are, present in this show. But it's great for a laugh. Every episode ends with a really high moment, and it makes you just want to keep going. And as you pointed out, the episodes are really short. This is like one of the most binge-worthy shows on Netflix.
This show, and I'm not going to go and start poking holes through it, but at the beginning of the show, like the very first words she says, I'm not going to spoil it, but I rolled my eyes. Really? What is this going to be? But by the end of the episode, by the end of the first few episodes, she definitely earned the right to say those words, and it makes more sense. But so I don't want people who start the show to be like, what is this? Is this just another like angsty teen drama that I really can't connect to? Like, no, it definitely earns those words. The show is basically like if Breakfast Club meets Stranger Things with a bit of maybe Carrie in the middle of it. Not quite as bloody, but definitely like it's definitely like this sort of throwback show that doesn't really hinge too much on nostalgia, but definitely makes you feel like you can relate to it for sure. Absolutely.
So much fun. There's a lot of people who would enjoy this. It's on Netflix. Go get it.
So you recommended that show to me. I recommended a show to you. I recommended Watchmen to you, HBO's Watchmen, which aired last year.
Well, let me set the stage by saying that I probably never would have watched it if you hadn't recommended it to me. Now, I saw the Watchmen movie years ago, and I thought it was fantastic. Probably one of my favorite superhero movies. And as you know, I'm not like so into the superhero movies. I'm not against them, but I'm not so into them that I see every one. I've probably only seen half of the Marvels. Watchmen is, of course, DC. But this show is so good, right? Like, it's a superhero movie that tries to, if not stay grounded in reality, at least gritty realness. And the first half of the series very much amplifies that. Now, once you get into the later half of the series, some of the fantastic superhero things, start coming up. Some of the more unbelievable superhero stuff starts coming up.
For people who don't know, like Watchmen, the TV show takes place 35 years after the end of the graphic novel. It doesn't really reference the movie, even though the movie is pretty much the same as the graphic novel with some slight variations towards the end. But it's 35 years later, and it takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the literal center of the country, and sort of uses that as a way to talk about culturally and politically relevant topics right now through superheroes or through the superhero genre. But what's awesome about it is if you take away all of the superpowers and the fantastic things about it, the supernatural things about it, which really there aren't that many, it's a character study that's a deep drama with very flawed, very real characters, and it's masterful storytelling from beginning to end. Especially like by the end of it, the webs that have been woven, the storylines that have crossed paths, everything wraps up in a way that's just so mind-blowingly good. We're going to be talking about Watchmen for years to come after this.
All working together, transcendent.
Thrilled you enjoyed it, Master.
Ladies, gentlemen, fantastic. Job well done.
After the first couple of episodes, there was a lot of exposition. I mean, you had to build the world, right? And Colby, I love shows that deal with like alternate reality, like Tarantino with Inglourious Bastards. You know, Hitler dies in cinema, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he rewrites the Charlie Manson thing. So I love things that take real life people, and historical events, and just sort of twist them. For instance, in this show, you know, instead of 9/11, there was a tragic American event that they refer to as 11/2.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do a spoiler what 11/2 was, but one of the other things, President Robert Redford.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many things about the show that like feel so real just because they're slightly skewing reality.
Yeah.
I love shows that do that.
When the movie came out, the trailers made it seem like an action-packed superhero movie that was going to be full of action and fights and all this cool stuff. And it's a slow burn character study. And so I want to make sure viewers know going into Watchmen, the TV show, yes, there's superheroes in it, but it is not an action-packed show. I mean, there's some action, there's amazing things. There are some mind-blowing events in this show, but it is not Avengers. I want to make sure people know that going in, because that way you can take the time to appreciate what's going on screen instead of wondering when Thanos is going to show up.
Well, it's just cool to see a masked vigilante worry about her kids. You know what I mean? Like, she's not a superhero. You know, they don't have superpowers in the Watchmen. They're, you know, often just vigilantes or criminals or whatever. And there's a lot of prescient things in this that are just taking place today. Racism is another theme that this touches on. And I was wondering, after the first couple episodes, I was like, this world building feels very familiar. And these fantastic cliffhangers at the end of each episode feels very familiar. And so then I looked, of course, it's Damon Lindelof, who did Lost, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, which was a master in cliffhangers and a master in world building. The one thing that I will say, Colby, that Watchmen has over Lost, I think it nailed the ending a little better. Yeah, I wasn't against the Lost ending, but this one was a little better.
It's absolutely phenomenal. So this is an interesting thing to cover because the show feels like a purposefully constructed show from beginning to end. By the time the first episode aired, I feel like they had to have had the final episode finished because there are editing tricks and musical cues throughout the entire series that play reference to each other so well that there's no way they didn't have this entire piece already constructed. It's a very smart show, very deep, and by the end of it, I think that only solidifies it even more that like this was a masterwork of planning, of storytelling, and just really impressive filmmaking.
If you're a Lost fan, you know, this is a must watch. You must watch, you know, this show. If you're a filmmaker, I think you can learn a lot from watching this show. And you know how I am with the cliffhangers. If you can be okay for 50 minutes, but if you put in a good cliffhanger, I'm probably coming back for the next episode. I was able to watch most of this in just a day, more than half of it in just a day. And they're hour-long episodes, but, you know, since we're quarantined, it wasn't that hard. And I just enjoy it. 2 thumbs up. Totally recommend it.
Thank you again, Chris, for being here to talk to me about both of these awesome shows. I know it's a lot to you forced me to watch an entire season, and I forced you to watch an entire season, but it was definitely worth it, I think.
I did too. Yeah, thanks for recommending Watchmen. Like I said, I probably would not have watched that if you hadn't have recommended it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's on the heels of one of my favorite TV shows, Lost, by the same, creator. So definitely it was a must-watch for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw the trailer for I'm Not Okay With This a while back and thought, oh, that would be good to watch, but really kind of put it on the back burner, didn't really think about it. And then you recommended it, and I was like, wow, I really need to watch that. And I definitely don't regret it. So thank you again for that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Everybody should watch it.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Chris, for coming back on with me to talk about these awesome shows. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe Prizecast. You don't want to miss it on Facebook and YouTube every weekday, Monday through Friday at noon. Tomorrow we have another episode. Well, Chris, seriously, thank you for being here. This is fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Yay, TV. Let's watch them.
All right, we're out.